Hi again, everybody. This is Joe from Adult Education Center, and I'm continuing my discussion on basic subtraction. And before I go into the question that I left off with last video, I would like to tell you a little bit of a story about when I was mistakenly put in a grade 1 class when I was a teacher in training. I wanted to be a high school teacher, and they got their records mixed up and put me in a grade 1 class to practice, but I still learned something. And it was actually quite a fun experience. And this is it. On the very first day of school, as the kids were sitting around the teacher, and she was sitting on a chair, and they were all sitting on the rug there, the teacher took a pencil and she put the pencil in a container like this. And then on the next day of school, she took another pencil and put it in the container like that. And she kept doing that for 10 days. After 10 days, she had 10 pencils. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. She then, on the following Monday, took all the pencils and bunched them up and tied them up with an elastic. So there's a group of 10. There it is, all tied up with an elastic. Then that same day, she added one more. So how many pencils does she have in the container? Well, she has a group of 10, and she has one lonesome one. We all know that there's 11 pencils in there. But 11, believe it or not, is equal to 10 plus 1. And you might say, well, that's ridiculous to think about that. Well, it's not ridiculous, and here's why. Suppose I have 11 pencils, and I want to take away 3 of them. If I had 11 and only wanted to take away 1, hey, that's great, no problem. But what if I have to take away 3? In that case, what do I have to do? I have to break up my group of 10. I have to literally break the group up so that I can take away 3. Okay, that's called regrouping or borrowing. So we borrowed from the group that was in a bundle. Okay, I'm going to refer to that as we go through these examples. So far we've done easy ones. They had no problems. We didn't have to do any fancy manipulating or anything like that. But in this case, we have to, because we have a 2 and I want to take away a 4. I don't know how to do that. Just by it, without any tricks, I don't know what to do. But actually, that's a lie. I do know what to do. This is what we'll do. We're going to go over to the 7, and we're going to borrow one group of 10 from the 7. What does that mean for the 7? That means that the 7 is no longer 7. It's becoming a 6. Okay, I'm putting a 6 right there in its spot. Now, what happened to the one that we dropped it by? It goes over here. Ah, look at that. We dropped the 7 by 1, made it a 6. Where did the 1 go? It went over here to the 2 to make it a 12. And now we pretend that it's a 12. In fact, it really is a 12. So 12 subtract 4. 12 subtract 4 is 8. So there we are. Now this, what used to be a 7, is no longer 7, as we know, because we just talked about that. It had to drop down to a 6 because it gave up 1 for over there. Okay, and so now what do we have? We have 6 minus 1 is 5. And there's nothing in here, so 6, and we just drop down the 6. So our final answer is 658. That one trick stumbled so many people. Okay, so I want to do, let's see here. I'm going to do 951 subtract 49. Example 4, 951 subtract 49. All right, so here we go. Looks like I can't draw my lines straight, but oh well, I'm trying. So I want to take 9 away from 1. Well, we know that can't be done. It's impossible unless we do something to make up for it. This 1 is going to go and grab some more. It's going to borrow from the 5. And the new way of saying it is they call it regrouping. We used to call it borrowing. Doesn't matter what you call it. I probably will still use the word borrow because when I learned this, that's what the word was. But we have to go next door, get something from the 5 so that we can actually do this first part of the calculation. So if the 5 is going to lend something, the 5 is going to go down and become a 4. Where does the 1 go that we took away? It goes right here. What does that create for us now? It says, oh, that's not a 1 anymore, that's an 11. Oh, that's good. So 11 minus 9 is 2. Beautiful. And what do we have over here? 4. It's not a 5 anymore. It's a 4. Subtract 4. Guess what? 4 minus 4 is 0. Anything subtract itself is 0. That really looks crooked. I'm going to go like this. Okay, and then we have our 9, and there's nothing. That's one flaw in this handout. It's always 3 digits subtract 2. So yeah, I recognize that. So we've dealt with these first 2 columns, and now it's just 9, and we'll just bring that down like that. A very common mistake is that people forget to put the 0 because they don't believe 0 is a number, but 0 is a number. Without the 0, that would be the number 92, and that's not the right answer. Okay, so how are we doing for time here? All right. One last one. Example 5. And it looks like so. 703 minus 71. So 7 subtract. You know what? I'm going to change this to 171. Just because I don't want you to fall into a trap thinking that all the questions are the same. So here we go. So starting over at the far right, we have 3 minus 1. Oh, that's easy. Nothing special there. That's a 2. And over here we have 0 minus 7. Well, that is impossible, isn't it? So we're going to go next door to the 7. We're going to rename the 7 as a 6. And we're going to take that 1 that we borrowed and put it in front of the 0, and that is going to make it a 10. So now we can do it. 10 minus 7 is 3. And to finish off, 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, there we are. 703 minus 171 is equal to 532. I am going to leave you with one last thought, and that is, I'll just move away from here so you can see the numbers. Can you think of a word problem that has 703 subtract 171? Okay, I want you to just think about that for a few minutes. And when we start up on the next video, I will give you a sample problem to that. And then we're going to carry on with multiplication. So in the meantime, have a great night.